All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our MLS Monday. Let's dive into the topic. So last week, as before we start here, the topic is farming, part two. Last week we went through several tools that we talked about. We talked about Remine, went through some of the things with that, and we talked about Realist and went through the tools on that. We talked about the philosophy of farming is putting the seeds out there and being able to incubate that process so that you're the expert in that area. And that when people are ready to list, that they call you. We talked about the most likely to list and looking at that, both Remine and Realist both had tools on sell scores. But what we talked about up front was kind of how do you pick your spot, right? So we're going to dive into that.
Yeah, that's up on YouTube already. So most of you that I'm seeing on the list were here for part one that are here today for part two. But if you missed it, it's okay. Stay here for part two because, we'll go over new stuff. But go back, watch part one. It's on the YouTube channel.
Yep. Yeah, we're getting those up there pretty quick. So we talked about how do you pick that, and I talked about you want an area that's actually selling, right? There's some areas that are just tough. I mean, you look at the McGregor corridor from like downtown all the way to probably what I call Daniels. I know it's not called that on that end of it. After 41, it changes, but it's Cypress Lake. But that's a huge area that it's desirable even after Ian. And so the turn is not there. People buy the house. There's been people there. I know there's been buyers that bought houses from somebody who bought their house 30 years ago and they sat in it for 30 years. So there's some older homes and they've been in there for a while. You want some place that's going to turn. So we're going to pull up a tool for you to look at. They'll give you kind of a snapshot and you've got access to this right now. And it's within Agent 3000. So you'll go to Agent 3000 on the dashboard, you'll click on Agent 3000, and this is the dashboard you see. And on the right-hand side, you got by zip code, sold listings, and you can also go into communities. It's going to give you the number of sales, and it's going to also give you the average price. Both of those may matter to you. And last week, we used the example of Moody River Estates, North Fort Myers. Now, you've got default that goes to a month. But if you click and go back, you can go to anywhere. We're going to go to the last 365 days. In the last 12 months, they've had 34 sales with 366, 691 being the average sale price. So that tells me two things. One is that they do have movement. And two, my eye vision is not as bad as I thought it was. I could read that number from here.
So yeah, and a lot of the questions that we had last week were on that turn rate. So can you talk a little bit about calculating that? We showed you guys in Matrix, but just to reiterate, this gives you a broad idea of movement, but what are you looking for in those turn rates?
So what I'm looking for, and this is more of a what I would call an art than a science, right? So I picked this market because I lived there when I picked it. But I'm looking at right now, you got, number of active listings in the same time frame. You got 34 active listings for 365 days. I would just go.
Well, that's still what's left active right now.
What's left active, right?
Yeah, so you can see what's currently on market and then what the history is on.
Right. So ironically, both of this, you got 321 is the average price on the market. 366 was the average sale price. You had 34 units that sold, and you have 34 units that are currently active, right? So that market moves. You've got some competition with that. So obviously pricing the property correctly, etc. People are selling there. It's not a dormant type of market. And we talked about the doors that we had last week. I think we had
85.
Yeah, I think we got it down to a pretty good number. Yeah. But you can pick the most likely to sell, what you're looking at, right? So you look at the ones that have the highest sell score rate, if you're using Realist, or the most likely to sell, I call it a Remine. So you got those filters. You're not sending it to every single door. So hopefully within those filters are the next 34, right? Because if you're going to do it for 12 months and do it every other month, you're going to want to send those out every 60 days, updates, what's happened in the market, why use you, etc. Hopefully those next 34 listings will come and you'll get some of those from that farming prospect. Though we'll talk a little bit today about what the call to action on the postcards or what you're mailing, what that looks like. We'll talk a little where to get that from, but this is a good start. And you can get down to communities on both of these and look at them. Let's pull up something like Colonial Country Club if we can in both. This is just for kicks and grins.
Is that what we're calling it?
Kicks and grins. There you go. Colonial Country Club.
It's the first one I pulled up.
So there you had 91 units move at 404, 125, and you had 98 that are listed. So a lot of competition, but there you go. You got a lot of volume there, right? So it's a high turn neighborhood,
Mhm.
higher turning than Moody River Estates. Again, I worked that market because I lived there.
Mhm.
And there's some other things you can get involved with, wearing your branded t-shirt at the pool, those types of things that help out with that. But this is another, it's a good example of it. And right below you at Colonial Shores, again, you got 7 and 7, 5 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 3 and 2. You will find, in my experience, especially in a market like today, where you've got 6 months of inventory and a kind of a balanced market,
Mhm.
you'll see that the solds and the actives will be somewhat balanced. When you have a buyer's market, you'll see less active inventory and more sales.
Mhm.
And when you have a buyer's market, we're at 7, 8, 9, 10 months. You have a lot of the actives and very little of the sales, right? So, yeah, just flip flops. But this is a pretty balanced market. It doesn't surprise me they're about equal.
Yeah. So I know we wanted to talk a lot of, or a little bit about finding the right market because we had a lot of questions on that last week. Let me see, because we've got a question really quick as we start to move over to RPR. Can you please talk about how to calculate the overturn rate? So we talked about this a lot last week.
Right.
And you can go in that video, figure out how to pull numbers. Multiple of the tools that you use will pull how many doors you have overall. So let's say you pick a specific community like Moody Rivers, the one we did last week. It had
800 doors. Yeah, call it 800.
Call it 800 doors. And then you would pull how many sales you have. And what is the equation?
So yeah, you just divide the sales into the number of doors, and that's your turn rate, right?
Yep.
So if you use that same on every single one of these because you want to pull the number of doors for Colonial Country Club, even though it's may have more units, um, your turn might be lower, right?
Yeah.
Overall sales. So
if you have, I can't remember how many sales we had in the example, but we'll call it 45.
divided by 800 doors, your rate was
5.6%.
5.6%.
Yep. And we talked a little bit last week about how a good turn rate for you said anything over 5%, but it might be community specific. You've got communities that are going to have lower turn rates, but if it's the one you live in and you're willing to go after it, maybe you set your threshold lower. And then you've got communities that have a much higher turn rate.
Right.
But I know last week we talked a lot about how, Jason's rule of thumb is 5%.
Mine was 5%. And I will say this, if all you're doing is mailing to the most likely to sell and you're looking at the sales score
Mhm.
and you're not sending out to all 800 doors, your cost and your ROI is
Yeah.
higher because you may be only sending out, 50, 60, 70, 80 postcards every 2 months versus doing 800 every 2 months. Big difference in price. So your ROI is going to be a lot better by doing it this way. And that's why the tools are out there to do it. Because back in the day, and some of you I recognize some names have been doing real estate for a while.
We won't
Back
put
in the
numbers to
day,
your name.
yeah, we won't put any names out there. But I remember starting, and when I started out farming, I lived in Gateway, in an older community in Gateway, and I had to market and send a postcard to every single house, and we had 250 doors in that community, and every month it was $250 every 2 months I was spending on mailings.
This
Right?
is back before you had smart analytics.
Correct. Before any of these tools came out. And then you would end up with an expense of that. Do the math, you're at about $1,500 in marketing costs, and you may only get 2 or 3 or 4 listings from that. So your ROI, if the commission was $5,000 a unit back then, in my pocket, that was $20,000 on a $1,500 spend. In today's world, when I did Moody River, in a year I'd have 5 sales, and that was 5,000, call it 25,000. But my spend was only $100 every 2 months because I was only mailing 100 postcards because I was mailing the most likely to sell, very specific, right? So that was only $600 for $20,000 or 25,000, whatever it was, right? So your return on that investment is much, much higher, 2, 3, 4 times fold by using the tools to only mail those specific houses. And again, not everyone's going to pop, but a lot of them will, and hopefully they call you.
So let's hop back into these tools that are going to help you find the right doors and create what your farm is going to be. So for those of you that were with us last week, what we covered was realist, and Remine. And we talked to you about how there are more tools to pull that data. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through RPR, but then from that, we'll then showcase some tools that are going to help you take the farm that you find, whether, whatever tool it is that you might like. Some of you are going to use Realist, some of you are going to use Remine, and some of you are going to use RPR. So once you've pulled your farm, we'll go through some different tools that will implement different marketing pieces and things like that. Before I hop into RPR here, though, because we had a lot of people talk about, well, it's a little confusing. They all start with R. How do I know which one I like? Which is why we're showcasing them. I do want to point out, if you go to our association website, right, rpcra.org, and you click on the little hamburger menu and you come over to the MLS tab, we do have all of the tech tools and benefits that are offered to you laid out. So if you ever forget, you completely like wipe out this video and never remember anything, come out here. All of your resources are out here and the tiles flip so that you can find exactly what all of these tools do. It's a quick guide. And if you click learn more, it brings you out to that vendor's site with explanations of everything that they have and they do. So if you can't remember which ones do farming or CMAs or what have you, they're all out here with their definitions. And this is everything that is offered to you through your membership here with us.
Yeah, it's a great website. If you don't remember, again, we
Some days I don't.
we put a lot of the calls we get here asking, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z. What tool do you have? And we kind of outline them all here. So
Yeah.
it's all one spot, a lot of good stuff, a lot of good content there. Use it as a resource if you don't know.
Yeah. So again, today we're going to hop here into RPR. That button right here on your dashboard will bring you into the RPR front-facing page. Right away, these guided tour buttons up here, as we go through this, if you feel like you need more assistance, you can click these to do whatever it might be, property search, farming, anything like that. And they will show you button by button what to click. I'm going to go through it with you today, but if you need additional assistance, great walkthrough buttons there to help you out with that. And I see we have another question. Loading. The secret question. Oh, thank you, Maggie. She's just telling us that she's appreciative. We appreciate you. So what's great about RPR that kind of sets it apart from the other tools that we covered last week is they are very, very strong in their commercial data. They have really, really great residential data, as the other tools do. Works a little bit differently, so it might fit your personality more. However, if you are focusing on commercial, you can switch this toggle here and it will become a commercial dashboard, and all the functionalities and the search buttons will be commercial driven. So I want you to keep that in mind if that's your niche. I know it's a very, very specific part of the industry. When I practice, I told everybody I was allergic to commercial. But if that is for you, this tool will probably be the best option for you out of the 3 farming ones that we've covered. Yes, sir. Hand raised. You have a question.
What does RPR stand for?
Realtor Property Resource.
Realtor Property Resource. Okay. So you have to be a realtor to have access to this, right?
100%.
So, this information is pulled in from several different sources. One of the sources it pulls in, they get a direct data feed from us with all of the actual fields. So you'll see that the listing data is in there, and it also pulls public record data. So you'll have a lot of the for sale by owners. You'll have a lot of the records that have never been sold before, but they have a record with LIPA. That information is pulled in. So it's got a lot of information that pulls into this.
So then I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who owns and provides Realtor Property Resource?
That would be the National Association of Realtors for 500.
I'm playing Jeopardy here. Yeah, so this is provided to you through NAR. We have it on our dashboard with a single sign-on button click, but this is something that, if you're looking at doing any kind of farming in other areas as well, which brings it into that point, you can farm other areas. Maybe Boston's about to have a snowstorm and you want to market to them to come move here in Florida, things like that. So it's provided to you by NAR, and you can do national searches in it as well.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty. We'll scroll down here and you'll see that there is a map search kind of previewed here right on the front page. clicking into map search, the little button, will open up all the full capabilities, the search options, the filters, things like that, so that you can fully see everything. We see there's a lot of data on the screen. There's a lot of things happening. We've got map tools that you guys are very familiar with that are offered across, Matrix and other tools. But let's get into the filters first. And you can see here the toggle for residential and commercial remains. So as we start to search, if you realize, oh crap, no, I want to do commercial, you can toggle between them. But you're only going to be in one bucket at a time. So as you search residential, you're only getting residential. If you want to switch to commercial, it's got completely different parameters for you. So make sure you're in the right bucket. Clicking this button here for more filters is going to open up everything that you can filter their data by. So right in the beginning, what it's kind of doing is pulling in data that you would typically see in Matrix, right? It's showing stuff that's for sale, for lease, based on the feed that we have that goes into them. It gives you an idea of what's going on in your market. But for farming, we don't want stuff that's for sale. Unless you're going after expireds, then you can filter by that for sure. But we want the stuff from the public record, so that we can pull in all the doors, all the properties of what we need. You can select out the certain property types that you want. You can use them all. If you don't like condos, you can deselect that. A lot of the filters that we went through last week, you're going to see are here. But they have a lot of additional filters that are based on MLS data. So price, you don't really need to fill that out if you're farming. You can filter out bedrooms, bathrooms, lot sizes, specifics like that. If you're going after distressed properties, if that's your niche or your specialty, then you can do just the foreclosures, the short sales. You can say whether they're at auction or not, bank owned. Maybe you don't like distressed properties and you have no clue how to handle a foreclosure. You can then exclude them so you don't get anything that's going through foreclosure. They have an open house filter that comes directly from our MLS. You can choose the type of lot and land that property is used for. So for those of you that are like doing out in Alva, things like that, you can filter for that. Yes, sir.
Did you see that? They got amusement parks in here.
Yeah, so if you want to send Mr. Walt a postcard, put your search up in Orlando, you can certainly do that. Find a filter for this plot is going to be a Buc-ee's, things like that. All right, organization. This is based on MLSs. So if you were searching and you were maybe trying to find information that was in another MLS in another area, you can search by other MLSs. We don't really need that for farming because we're searching data that's off market. Occupancy type. We talked a lot about this last week, the importance of owner occupied or absentee owner, whether you are maybe trying to go after rentals or you're going to go after renters and say, hey, let's talk about buying. This is a great filter to use if that's your niche. Year built, if you're looking for new construction or anything like that. And then time owned. We talked about the importance of statistics that people typically move. And I know they keep saying it's going up. They're still holding it right at a little over 5 years, but they're seeing that people are starting to stay in their homes longer. So you don't want anybody who just purchased their property. You can filter by that so that you're specific on the data that you're pulling. Then we're going to click update search. And I am going to go back in here and plug in because we're pulling like the entire area right now. So they have a smart search in here. You see in other tools we've used, you have to select whether you are going to do a subdivision or a zip code. You don't have to say what type of data you're going to put in. You just start typing. It pulls in everything. So we'll type in Moody River. And you see it'll say places. It'll pull addresses. If we were typing something in that was a place and a city, it would pull in multiple things. You can do zip codes, anything like that. All right, so we type in Moody River. It goes ahead and sections that out for us. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see the whole filter there. And Moody River has several different subdivisions. So this one is the Moody River I clicked in. If you wanted to include all these other ones, you would pull in those subdivisions. But you also could clear that and then draw your own parameters if you wanted to. They have all the same map features that you guys are used to using inside a Matrix. So that you could really customize. And a lot of us are using that draw tool if we're like out in Cape Coral, right? Because Cape Coral doesn't have very specific parameters. You could pull a whole zip code, but that's a lot to go after, right? Jason talked a lot about budget, being specific about who you mail to. If you're looking to do your community in Cape Coral, utilize this draw tool. You can freehand it. You can do a radius, a polygon, or a box and draw that. So if you were to get this centered and you say, oh no, I want all of Moody River, we'd come up here and remove the boundary, and it's going to reset and pull everything. It'll probably take a few seconds. Wow, pretty fast. And then you could come in here, and I'm going to make this really sloppy. I know you guys will be more specific, but I didn't live in Moody River like somebody, so he can tell me if my shape is wrong. Shape is wrong. My shape is wrong. So it'll give you statistics on this rate. RPR has so much data in it. We're just showing you the farming piece. We've done classes before on CMAs, on research, things like that. So right away, it's going to prompt you like, hey, do you want to create a report on this? What do you want to do? We're just going to say we're going to search that area. And now we have our new parameters. It likes to bring us in nice and close, and my eyeballs hate that. We'll zoom out, and you've got all the data right here, right? So we talked a lot about choosing the right filters, how to pull your data last week. We just want to show you another tool that does it if you like RPR better. There's a lot of different layers that you can add on here. So again, if you wanted to add in the flood zones or the school zones, the geocodes, things like that, you can add in those data layers right here and search via that. Really get specific in it, figure out which ones you want. Once you've got the market that you are interested in, you can view this data several different ways. You've got the single line that gives you like the little thumbnail and some information. So if you wanted to be very specific about which ones you're choosing, instead of just selecting all of them, you can come through and choose just the ones that you want to go after. They also have the thumbnail view like this. So if you're just looking at photos and trying to compare them with some quick data, you can do that. Or you can stay in the map view, right? If you're looking to take a deep dive into the data, you're getting very specific with your farm. What's great is I think RPR does a good job of offering you some quick data, but like important stuff. The other stuff you have to click all the way into those listings, right? This you can click on the thumbnails and it gives you a good amount. But you can also click the full details, go through the entire listing, and easily go back to your search results. So depending on how much time you need to spend, and everybody's different, everybody's niche is different, what you're trying to accomplish is different. Maybe, you're just throwing out a blanket, you're getting 50 and you're happy with it. Maybe you're taking a deep dive into the data. Totally up to you guys, but I want to show you what your options are here. RPR's got so much data in here. They're pulling in the tax roll. They are pulling in the MLS data. They are also using third-party sites like Niche to pull in school zones and all kinds of other stuff that feeds into this algorithm. So you could spend all day reading through properties if needed, and then go back to that search result, see everything that you have, and be able to move forward with utilizing that data. So in utilizing it, their buttons, really easy, really quick. So if I don't select anything, it's going to automatically use everything in this square. But if I do go here and select these, it'll only choose the ones I've selected. But your buttons, no matter what view you are in, are right here up top. So it will create mailing labels for you. It will create a data report, or you can print the map. For the farming sake here, you're mostly going to end up using the mailing labels button. And clicking into this, you've got several options. You can do an Excel spreadsheet by clicking the CSV form. If you do PDF, it'll do the labels for you. It'll create all of that ready to go based on the 3 most popular Avery templates. Let me see, we got a question really quick. Oh no, it's still the same one. Okay, so scrolling down, you can decide whether you want to use the property or the tax billing address. We talked about this again last week. It's either going to go to the physical property that's in Moody River, or if they are owners that are away, it'll go to where they're registered, that their actual address is. For most of the time, you're going to want to use that tax billing address for everything to make sure they get the mail. Otherwise, it could just go to the renters who can't list the property, right? Or it's going to bounce back. Unless you're trying to actually get to the renters in the unit, you'll use property address. Otherwise, your best bet is going to be the tax billing address. And then it'll give you the option if you want to eliminate duplicates. So in Moody River, I'm sure there's several investors that own maybe 3 properties. They don't need 3 postcards, right? So it'll eliminate it and only send them 1 postcard. You can decide on the labels who it will be addressed to. So do you want it to be the owner name that it's pulling from LIPA? Or do you want it to be current resident, only name and current resident, or you can create a custom label that says my future seller. or something creative. Coming down here, you've got occupancy type. So do you want to include everybody that's on that list or only owner occupied, only absentee owner? You can exclude anything that's currently listed on the market, which is a great fail safe. None of the other tools have that option. And I know a lot of people kind of put verbiage on their postcards anyway that says if you're already working with a realtor, please ignore this. But you can go ahead and just remove that so you're not paying for postage and wasting your time.
Right, wasting
It's
time,
always
money,
a waste.
wasting time and money. And it's not, but here's what I would tell you. I would do, I mean, I would do the exclude listed properties
Mhm.
and run and exclude properties that on the do not mail
Do
list.
not
I
mail
don't know what
list.
that is, but um
It's
and then
not do
properties
not
with
call.
incomplete addresses are important because LIPA does have incomplete addresses.
Yeah.
But you could almost run this as a PDF with everything and then run your labels with exclude listed properties and then do kind of a cross reference on that. Because when they do expire, what I would do is I'd go to MLS
Mhm.
and every one that was a listed property on my mailing to put an alert out there that when it went to expired,
Yeah.
I would be notified immediately.
Yeah. But they've just got some really great options in here when you're going to export that to create your labels. They don't have like an integrated postcard company, so you would be exporting it and either stickering postcards yourself or sending a CSV list to a postcard company that you use. And they do implement, so for those of you that haven't seen the company ICE before, they are a huge data company. They've got premium mailing label functions, which is kind of like a lot of like AI and smart intuition on the addresses that you'll pull, but this is an added expense. They have it in here just because they'll pull this data into ICE and then run that for you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this. And I think that's everything we've got in RPR.
What else can you filter on this? Because that's a lot of properties at 386.
Yeah,
Talk about some
we
filtering.
we went through these filters up here. I just really didn't apply a lot to them because we kind of talked through that last week. If you're looking for a program that's going to use smart seller score, predict who's ready to sell, you're going to want to use Remind and Realist
So it
for
doesn't have
They
a sales
don't
score.
have the sales scores inside of
Right.
RPR.
But if you kind of know here, it does have mortgage company on the bottom?
Mm-mm.
No, so yeah, so any of that stuff you want to be able to pull through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for a bigger farm where you don't have the analytics or trust the
Mhm.
analytics maybe.
Yeah, and I would say mostly, really, if you're utilizing it for commercial, which I'll showcase you that really quick, works exactly the same as we went through before, but you can see in here that their filters are different. So property type instead is what that property is used for. Um, so their filters there are a little different. Instead of having bedroom, bathroom, right? It's just the building size, the lot size, um, the land use, again, whatever MLS it's listed with. And then these ones down here are the same, but instead your property type switches out so that you can go after specific ones. So for any of you that are on here that do commercial, if you focus specifically in healthcare or hotels, you can filter by it. And then you can also cast a wider net here because I have played with this plenty of times and done healthcare and done all of Fort Myers. And it doesn't overload the system.
Yeah, yep. I like their functionality. I like their everything about this. Again, it doesn't have the analytics behind it or
Mhm.
the
Smart
filters.
score. Yeah.
But one of the things I'll talk about, and I digress for 2 seconds real quick, that I did use this for.
Yeah.
For those of you that represent a buyer and you're looking to get a sale or a listing on that,
Hmm.
one of the things I used to do, I talk about the get to know your neighbor party that I used to throw. So I have a buyer, I bring that buyer into my office, I do a buyer consultation. And I would say, when we close, one of the things I do for all my buyers is I do a get to know your neighbor party. The hardest thing to do in Florida, and we've all moved here from someplace, at least most of us have, is to meet your neighbor, right? And so they really appreciate that. It's basically a welcoming party, open house party for them to get to meet their neighbor. So you can actually go into, you know, RPR, do the 3 block radius around the house that you just sold,
Hmm.
and then do a special invite. And I used to just do it would look like a wedding invitation, mailing to them, right? Do the labels, put your stamp on it. People open wedding invitations, and they would show up to the party. And then obviously you're there as the MC and the host. and introducing everybody that comes over to their neighbor. You have name tags and they love it. I used to cater food in and have a cleaner come and clean everything. And it was a great way to get a listing. And every time I did it within 3 or 4 months, sometimes 6 months, one of those people that showed up at that party would call me to list their house. Because you're the talk the next day. It's not the neighbor that you not the buyer you sold the house to. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, our realtor didn't do that. They're talking about you being that center person. So I used it for that all the time. It's fast and easy.
Yeah. We talked a lot last week about how it's not just about postcards, it's about what you do in that community and all the other touch points.
Well, absolutely. You can do the same thing for invites to open houses. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a ton of stuff you could do by pulling that data and doing some mailings.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about how to pull that farm, how to pull your data, addresses, things like that. And now we kind of want to showcase a little bit of, we've got a few tips and tricks for you guys of ways to capture their attention. Some of it's for postcards, since we're pulling addresses specifically. And it's through tools that we offer you guys. I know a lot of you probably have like your marketing companies, maybe you have your postcard companies, but these are some things that'll help you enhance that material that you're sending out. So when we started this, Jason talked about Agent 3000, which is right here on your dashboard. And we talked about the data that they provide right when you log in, right? It's going to give you an idea of what's listed and what's sold. And we've done plenty of classes on Agent 3000 because as you can see running down the left-hand side here, there is like unlimited amounts of resources and what they can do to help you with your marketing. But let's specifically talk about, hey, you guys are farming and you want to figure out how to capture people's attention. So let's talk a little bit. I'll let you kind of take this one over. They've got a button down here for landing pages. How is this going to help them in their marketing?
Right. So the idea is when you send out something, right? So let's take this from kind of the beginning a little bit.
Okay.
You're picking an area based on turn. You're going to pick the most likely to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So you're down to 80 to 100 doors, right? Of people likely to sell. You want to put them someplace so you know that your mailing's been found, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this would be content on a landing page that you could talk about different things. So
yeah, it's a call to action for them to reach out to you.
right. And on a postcard, what it would look like basically is you could do a QR code, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what QR code is. That's the only good thing that came out of the pandemic was that we learned how to use QR codes to order food at a restaurant. They know how to use that. They'll scan the QR code and they'll take them to your landing page.
Right.
And on the landing page, you can have a lot of things. You could have your 21 secrets to success of selling your home. You could have, the 15 things you must do 30 days prior to listing your home. You could do, whatever call to action you want, including having a list of other homes that are for sale or, whatever. So there's a lot of stuff you could do here to kind of, capture them in here, and really get them to, pay attention and highlight you.
Yeah. So scrolling through here, it's very easy to kind of figure out. You've got the landing page name. You'll build out what you want that page to look like. They've got an entire how-to video on doing this, but just go through the steps, build out what you want on here, what you want to include, not include, and all of your landing pages will save down here at the bottom. So an example of some other ones that we've done for classes, I like to think of this as like the cooking show. I have the cake ready to go. I just put it in the oven. Call me for a list of single family homes is the call to action, but this is the link that you could have on that postcard. So when they get here, they could automatically continue with Facebook, or you could say, send me this list. And this would be a spot you can customize this backdrop here, what the prompt says, how you gain the information. But when they scan that QR code, it lands them here and you're collecting those leads and collecting that information.
Yeah.
I would say make a few, play around with it, figure out what you like, what you don't like. But it'll provide all those leads for you and you can plug in analytics on it too. You can watch it, you can kind of keep it simple, or you can get really, really detailed with creating this and adding it to your postcard for your farm.
Right. And you have the include continue with Facebook button. People are really accustomed to doing that when
Yeah,
you
so
sign
I don't
up
have
for
to fill
things.
anything out.
Don't fill anything out. It gives you good information for that lead. And the whole idea now is so now you had somebody that you just had an address for and a picture of their home, maybe. And now you got them to go ahead and fill that information out to give them whatever that content is, what I call item of value. In exchange for their information, you're giving them your 21 tips to get your home sold for the most money.
Yeah.
You're giving them what's sold in the last 2 years or whatever it may be, that call to action that's on this big box here.
Yeah.
Then they're clicking my Facebook and you're going to get that information. Now you've got something to maybe call them, mail them something else. You've got them in the beginning of the funnel. So this
Mhm.
takes what would be a potential most likely to sell seller
Mhm.
and putting them into your funnel
Mhm.
of sellers that you can now incubate until they're ready to put that sign in the front yard.
Yeah. And what's great about Agent 3000, not to go through the whole process, but they've got that option here where if you were to set up, if you were to utilize their CRM, when those people sign up, whether it's with Facebook or they fill out the information, they could automatically get plugged into a CRM that immediately sends them a text message, email, whatever. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to do it until they're ready to sell. But you've got that option here for follow up. And then you also have the option for once they put in their information or they click, yeah, just fill it in from Facebook, you could just have a text response that says, hey, thank you, and like what they could expect, or you could have it redirect to a URL. So if you've promised them something like a list of properties, they kind of get upset, I'll say, whenever you promise them something, you just take their information and then they don't get it, right? This is it. They fill out the information, instant gratification, whether it's a resource to your website, maybe you've promised them like 6 different ways to the best curb appeal. Well, that could redirect once they fill it out to a website that gives them that or the list of properties, whatever it is that you've promised.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing. I mean, you just brought up something that's super important
Hmm.
because the one thing that every single one of these realtors and brokers have on common online is they all have 168 hours in a week,
Yeah.
right? So if you've got to, and when people do things for pain or pleasure, if you've got to actually go physically mail out or email out every time somebody clicks on this and wants your information, it becomes league fatigue,
Yeah.
right? But if it's automated, where this automatically happens and you don't have to think about it, and all you've done, and by the way, you don't have to even lick a stamp,
Nope.
right? I don't think you have lickable stamps anymore, but
No,
you
and
don't
I
have to lick a
always say
stamp.
lick and stick for the postcards. They don't
Yeah.
do that anymore.
But if you had somebody even send those out on your behalf,
Yeah.
you're not doing anything but uploading the CSV file and figuring out that farm and cutting a check.
Hmm.
And then it's
It's
almost
doing everything else for you.
automation that, yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, this is where you talk about agents that scale from, 3 deals a year to 6 to 12 to 24 and 36.
Hmm.
This is where that power is to be
You
able to
think,
do
how do
that.
they have the time to do all of that? They
Right.
don't.
They
They've
don't.
set it up and it's done it.
They automate it.
And so we're going to kind of show you a couple of other different cool features there, but we talked about plugging in maybe at the end. It shows you a list of all the properties. We'll show you how to do that too here in a second.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
Oh
That's what I call before fire.
yeah. Jason gets really excited about that. We're just a couple of nerds over here. So landing page is going to be something lead driven. Yes, it'll at the end of it, it could bring them to an actual resource, but your landing pages, very, very lead driven options for you to include in your postcards. The other thing that they have out here on Agent 3000 are single property websites. So you would plug in an MLS number here and it would build out a website that displays all of the information about a specific property. So one, if you have listings and you want to farm the neighborhood where you have listings, this is a great option.
Yep.
Two, if you are brand new and you don't have listings and you think, how the heck am I gonna, build my farm? I don't have anything to stand on. Well, you can look around in your own brokerage or you can ask, brokers at another company if they have listings that you could market. There's no need to just focus on the negativity of, let's say, Moody River, for example, because we've been using that the entire 2 weeks. So let's say you live in Moody River, you want to farm that neighborhood. Well, every time there's a listing that shows up in Moody River, it's not a moment for you to go, well, crap, I failed. The world is ending. No, what can you do to capitalize on the listing and the movement that are in that neighborhood? Yes, at the end of the day, you want to be the one that lists everything, but that's not how it works. And you've got to start somewhere. So reach out to that agent or that broker and say, hey, I'm trying to get buyer leads. I'm trying to establish myself in this neighborhood. Can I market your listing? I mean, it's free marketing to get their listing sold. Most of the time they say yes, but make sure you get permission. You can plug that MLS number in here and it'll pull it in from MLS, the photos, the description, everything. So you can build out a website. So maybe you send out a postcard that says, hey, there's a new listing in the neighborhood. Let's talk about listing yours. Or if you're interested in upgrading to this beautiful property, reach out to me. It's an opportunity for you. It doesn't always have to be about, somebody else getting that listing. But these websites, we'll just promote that one property for you as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, get permission, get it in writing.
Mm-hmm. So in both of these options that we've showcased for you, they'll provide you a link, right? We'll go back to landing pages here in our beautiful little example. What you get is a link and um, this is what that link displays. But how do you get them there without typing out this complicated thing? We talked about QR codes, right? So in here, you have a QR code creator. Again, right, all inside of Agent 3000. There is nothing that this program does not do. In
Right.
here, you can put in a specific listing if you wanted it to link to a specific listing, but most of the time what we're utilizing up here on this tab is the URL. So you would take that URL from your landing page or from your single property website, plug it in here. Did I copy it?
No, you did not.
Thank you, Jason, for pointing that out.
Just helping you out. Go ahead.
And what you'll do is you'll click get QR code, copy link address. None of us are perfect. It's okay.
None of us are.
Plug it in here, get QR code, and boom, you've got a QR code. So you can put this on your postcard. When you scan it, it'll take them right to here. Makes it easy peasy for you. So you can do that with any URL.
How do I get that on my postcard?
I'm going to right click it, save image as, and then put that on your postcard. So if you're using Canva, you can upload that image in there, or you can send it to your postcard guy, whatever it is that you might need. You can save this as an image to add to your mailings.
So yeah, if you take your camera out, you guys all go ahead and click that right now. It will take you on your browser to that page. Yeah, I mean, this is a great way, right? We've conditioned America during the pandemic to use this for everything. People know, and you put a nice big red arrow for all the properties listed in this neighborhood, or for, to find your new home. Boom. It works.
Yeah. And then you'll be able to track here how many views you're getting on that number as well. So on that QR code. So it kind of gives you a little bit of analytics behind it too.
It does. Let me tell you two things real quick.
Oh boy.
As we get,
He gets really excited. I got one more thing. So you're good. 15 minutes.
So make sure you're tracking it. So one of the things I would tell you is know how many what neighbor you're doing. So you do Moody, I see you do Moody River. Except I got 80 houses I'm sending postcards to. Track your postcard you're sending, track the cost, right? And then you can get in here and you can actually track the views. So if you're sending 80 postcards out and you only got 3 views, you're like, oh, I only got 3 views. But understand, out of that 3 views, you may get somebody to sign up, and now they're getting whatever you're promising them, right? If it's a landing page. It could be, what's happening in the marketplace, the last one sold, whatever it may be. But this is powerful. You do this, and you can even take this to the next level. I mean, if you did a QR code to a landing page that was just about the other homes that are in the marketplace, right? And just did the QR code, you have to do the landing page. You want to show them how to get there for the property soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last thing we've got.
I'm excited.
All right. So we talked about the single property, but for a lot of people, you probably get postcards too in your own neighborhood that says, hey, like, scan here or go to this website, text this code, whatever it might be, and get an entire list of everything that's in your community. And how they're doing that is mostly right through Matrix, and it utilizes the One Home portal that we have for buyers and sellers. So in Matrix, if you're going to go ahead and run a search, figure out what list of properties it is that you want to send to them. So for our example, we'll come back to our Moody River example. We'll go into residential. We want everything that's active, right? We promise them a list of everything that's on the market
You want to see
currently.
all the single family homes in Moody River, click here.
Yes. So we're going to filter it by Moody River. You said you want just single family?
Well, that's what our promise is.
Is that what you're promising? All right.
Our promise was single family homes.
All right. So we've got 17 on the list, and we're going to go ahead and click results. We'll see everything that is currently listed. What you want to do is select all. And I know we get this call a lot, right? Because everyone's like, well, how do I send out a list if they're not my customer, right? We all know how to go out here, sign up customers, set them up on the feed. But what you might not know is if you select all of these, there is a share link down here at the bottom, which is great to utilize for somebody who you are not registering in the One Home portal, who is not signed up as a client in the One Home portal. So clicking the share link button, it'll say, hey, you've got 17 listings and you pulled it at this point. You can click generate link and boom, you've got a link. So let's take a look at what this looks like to the consumer. Plug that in.
You can also take this, put in a QR code.
Yes. Yeah. So take that link, go back to Agent 3000, get your beautiful QR code. Or maybe it's something you promised on the landing page, right? Then you would say the redirect link, I want them to go here. What's great about this is I am not,
That's fire.
it's fire. I am not logged into One Home as a consumer. I am just a member of the public who would have scanned the QR code, or maybe I went back and typed it in on my laptop, whatever it is. I see the 17 properties that you sent out. And you can see up top here, not logged in whatsoever. And I've got access to all of the data that you've decided to provide. So I can see, hey, what's going on in Moody River? Heck yeah, I want to be nosy. I'm a nosy neighbor. I want to look around. What's great about this, though, aside from just providing the data and a great place for them to see all of these properties, your branding will all be on here. So I'm not in a brokerage. This is just an admin page. So I don't have it in here. But if you've updated your One Home experience to have your colors up here, your logo here, your lovely little profile here, everybody is looking at you and your branding. Okay, so as a member of the public, I'm completely connected into you no matter where I go. The branding up top, the little help button down here, it's all generated to the agent. What is also great about this is maybe now I'm like really curious. Aside from what you've provided me, right? I can look at those properties. I can see some data. It's going to say contact agent. It's got my lovely branding here. But also, if I try to interact with this portal at all, let's be like, hey, well, but maybe I live in Moody River, but I want to move out to Pelican Preserve. I click new search. No matter what, when you try to interact with the portal, it's going to say, hey, you got to contact the agent. They've got to create a profile for you. This is limited access, right? Because you can't, as a member of the public, go to onehome.com and search. It is only through realtor access that you can get this data. So it will then also, it's a little bit of a longer road, right? But it'll still generate a lead for you. It's a great way to give them data. You don't always want to like hold everything so close to your chest that they feel like they can't access any information. You're giving them what you promised. But then at the end of the day, if they want more, all of your branding is here. There's a lot of different ways to contact you, and they can't just go and do whatever they want without creating a profile with you through MLS.
Yeah, that's a great, I mean, it's a great
It's what
tool. I mean,
Jason calls fire.
that's what I call fire. I mean, it's forcing that agent, you did the work,
Yes.
right? You're posting that QR code on Facebook saying, you know, check out all this single family homes with a pool in Northwest Cape Coral.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your polygon, you're putting them in here. Maybe there's 100 homes.
Yeah.
Right? They go through the 100 homes, they see it, and I'm like, oh, I really want to look at what's in Northeast Cape Coral now. Well, they got to contact you for that information.
Yeah.
It's a way to get
They
in
can see
front of
base
them.
level.
Yep, base level. So it enforces the engagement of the consumer to have you be the point and the center of a transaction, potential transaction, gets you to get them in the office, sign a buyer broker agreement, and take them out and show them homes.
Yeah. And what's great is by the time that this reaches the consumer, let's say something goes pending or it sells, the statuses and the prices, like this information here will update, but it constantly tells them like what that data set includes. So it's the
Oh, yeah.
17 listings in that date. But they'll be able to see like movement if stuff's closing right away, which would be great incentive for them, things like that.
Yeah, that's a great way. So your point, if you put an ad out there to, on Facebook, let's say with a landing page, and you had an auto respond, you can use this email link
Mhm.
or this link to this site as an auto respond, right?
Mhm.
Same thing, you work with investors, you can pull a list of foreclosures and short sales, and that would be your investor list.
Yeah.
Right? And it'd be there, this is good as long as you pull it every couple of weeks or every week, you got 12/8, 12/18, 12/28 every 10 days.
Yeah.
You'd have different links, but if you kept posting and people kept driving to it, just remember to follow the state law 375 chapter 375. The real estate law for advertising.
Yeah.
Include brokerages, stuff like that. Make sure that
Freshen yourself up on that.
475.
There you go.
Yeah, I knew it was 75 something.
But yeah, and again, you can take this link right here, copy it, come over to Agent 3000, plug it into that QR code creator URL here, and boom, that'll take them right to that list of properties. So you can plug it in a few different places. Somebody says, hello, I've created an ebook using Agent 3000 and it's great. But do you guys have a Spanish version? That's a great question. No, not at the moment, but the developers for Agent 3000 are always looking for great suggestions. So we'll send that in to them.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you could take what's in there and
Well, but it's coming out of their system.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring it to their attention. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
because
a
I
good,
think they have that in the AI thing where it will do translation, but
yeah.
then you'd have to recreate it. So we'll send that into the developers for sure. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
All right, but I think that's everything we have to go through today. That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, over 2 hours of information on learning how to farm. Again, these tools have a lot of different overlaying
Mhm.
lead gen, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
ways of formulating, getting the leads that you need to get to keep your business sustainable, because you should always be filling the top of the funnel.
Mhm.
So, but we talked specifically about the farming. I think some great tools, and with AI and everything else that's out there, I think it's great. I know we didn't get to or didn't go to talk about real reports. But as you get to, that's one of the things you could have when you talk about strategy, right? Not such tech,
Share it just to
but
show them where the button
the
is.
strategy piece of this is, as I think through this, is you send your first postcard out. So part of this you should be doing is saying, all right, on a piece of paper, on a dry erase board, I'm gonna put down my mailing number one is gonna be what, right?
Yeah.
Could be
Plan
what
your
sold the
year.
last 12 months, right? Plan your
It's the
year.
best month to do that.
Yep. Postcard number two is gonna go up by the 1st of March,
Yeah.
and that's gonna have, to find out more information about your home. And what they could do, if you're doing a lead capture page and they sign up for it, you get free reports out of row reports.
Mhm.
It's a great thing to send back to them, right?
Yeah.
This is manual, right? But it's also very sticky on it, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Then what's number three going to be? Number four, number five. Remember, I told you last week that I didn't get my first call until 6 months in.
Yeah.
So don't give up on it. Keep doing it. That's what farming is all about. You're gonna plant the seed, you're gonna water, you're gonna nurture it. It will eventually do come in. And there's a couple things that matter. One is using the right technology. We taught you that. Using the right strategy. Plan out your year, know exactly what you're gonna send out, know who your vendor is. And as much as you can outsource, if they're gonna put the label on it and put the stamp on it and
They're
send
gonna
it,
lick and stick.
lick and stick, then add your address to that so you're getting a copy of what's being sent out.
Yeah.
So I talked about last week doing jumbo versus mini standout. I used to do my
House.
jumbos were the size of my iPad and it was shaped as a house. I had those custom made.
I don't know if that's mailing standards, sir. It's a
It,
big iPad.
I got away with it. So um it cost a little more money, but I was doing a shorter number of batches, right?
Mhm.
So it made sense, but it always stood out. Um, but look at your content, your text, what you're sending, the call to action, those things matter too,
Yeah.
right? Not just how do I get the list of people I just send out mailers, just send out mailers. That stuff matters, because if the call to action is not right, if what you're doing before you print, test it, check the QR code, take out your phone and test it, make sure it's going where it's supposed to go,
Yeah.
right? Because last thing I do is send out 100 postcards and find out, oh crap, I sent the wrong QR code over, right? So, when you save them as a picture, she right clicked and saved, label it, postcard number 2, 2026, right? Moody River, whatever you want to label it as, so
Yeah.
you're sending the right stuff over. But understand the strategy behind it. You want them to reach out to you. You want to provide them information and resources that only you have. So, I look at Damas Analytics or InfoSparks, right? So it's statistic stuff.
Mhm.
Putting out, what's sold in the neighborhood and what activity there is. They're looking for tips on listing their home.
Mhm.
Because once you hit that particular activator going, I'm out buying paint in the weekend to paint my house, I come back, get my mail, and all of a sudden I got a postcard about, oh, sign up for my 12 tips of getting your house ready to list. I'm thinking I'm already listing, I already got the paint. That's probably one of the tips. What are the other 11? I got to get my QR code out, right? My phone out through the QR code.
Yeah.
Because you already know they're thinking about selling, because you are using the technology for most likely to sell. So strategy plays a big role in this, but don't give up on it. Tweak out your strategy. If you're not sending these people to something you can track, like what we just showed them on AG 3000, you're kind of missing the boat. If all you sit there wait for them to pick up the phone and call, you kind of missing the boat.
Yeah.
Most people are going to buy or sell. There are a group of people that are going to call all the time. I'm a phone person myself. I'd rather call you than text. And then she'd rather text you. So, I'd rather phone call you. She's going to rather text you. So there's
Again, I'm
different people out
allergic.
there on it. So anyways, that's my cue on strategy.
Quick question. How can I find neighborhood names in Cape Coral? So the neighborhood names, I mean, if you're looking for subdivisions, there's only a few in Cape Coral, but like if you're trying to section them out like by geocodes, you've got those are the map layers that we talked about. Let me see if I can open this up for you really quick. Let me share screen. So in Cape Coral, there's a little thing here. We'll go to like the map search. If you wanted to be able to break it down by geocodes, the map filters, if you're in doing the search, you're going to go into the map view, add in layers, and then add in geo layers, and it'll separate them out. They also have one for neighborhoods. So for those that do have like the certain section, some of them don't. You'll see it's very like patchy in Cape Coral, Fort Myers. Ooh, they are crazy with neighborhoods. But you can add this in Matrix so you have a better idea when you're going into these other programs. So for example, this one is Shamrock Lake. You can do that. Cape Coral, though, I would suggest you use geocodes, and maybe you have a different opinion, but I would suggest you use geocodes more than communities if it's in these like outlier areas, right? So we'll go
Is
back.
Shamrock Lakes the official name, or is that what they call it because it's shaped like a shamrock? Or
I think
both?
both.
Okay.
Yes. He's so easily amused today. Is that fire?
That's fire.
That's fire. All right. So then geocodes will help you out, right? Because we talked about Cape Coral. If you just use zip codes, like you're going to get such a wide range, like such a big area, you'll be sending out too many postcards. But these geocodes break them down into smaller areas. So you could do the CC23 geocode and then, find your specific homes that you want in that area.
Yeah, and
Great filters. And some of the programs like Remine, for sure, Realist, and RPR, they have these map filters too. Not all of them use geocodes because that's kind of like an us area thing. Some of them do though, but you can apply those filters in the other programs that you utilize as well.
yeah, and I would just say that if you're using geocodes, it's almost the same size as a neighborhood or a community, right? So
Yeah.
some of them are going to have the same 800 doors you saw in Colonial Country Club.
Mhm.
So it's about the same size. So geocode's probably a good way to go. And then remember, you can always filter out by price, by single family. What do you want to focus on?
Yeah.
There's always
I
more
hate
filter.
condos. I always filtered out condos. I was like, mm-mm. But then we have a lot of people, that they are like, I'm the condo queen. I only want to
Some
do
people like
condos.
it. I think it
Yeah.
also has to do with what what you want, what your passion is, what your comfort level is. Maybe it's someplace you live. There's one guy that used to dominate downtown on the river at the Oasis. He
Yeah.
lived there. I think he moved out, but he used to dominate that thing.
Sounds like an open market to me.
It does. It does. That's fire too.
That's
All
fire
right.
too.
So thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week.